You're listening to the Real Estate Radio Hour, the show that brings you unfiltered stories and insight from the Twin Cities real estate world with your hosts, Chris Rooney, broker at RE/MAX Preferred, and Andy Presky, leader of the Preferred Home Team at RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
Oh, I forgot to put on my uniform.
Fancy hairdo.
You should wear one of these, Rooney.
Oh, wow.
I know. Look at that bad boy. What's up, yo?
I would have had to go to some classes to get that, I think.
If you, all you had to do is walk in the front door and show up one time, and they gave you one of these. So you didn't get one, huh?
Well, hold on a minute. I do have something.
You got a parking ticket?
No, you got
a haircut. You look nice, buddy.
No, it's just combed it.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. Well, as you guys are talking, I'll find what I got so I can have to sit. Oh, here it is. Hold on.
Okay. What is that? Trump spray?
Trump Tower.
You put that on and it makes you talk arrogantly, or what happens?
Yeah. Oh God. Whoops. Do you hear me honk on the horn?
You're not driving, are you?
Oh my God. No, I'm stopped. I'm in a parking lot right now. Am I spitting again? So you guys can make fun of me?
No, we're not making fun of you. You're doing that yourself.
So no, it was good. I mean, I got to do a lot of networking and stuff. That's kind of why I go there. I also take it kind of as a vacation.
Yeah.
Kind of a getaway. So to have a little more
why don't we tell everybody
relaxation?
Where we were?
But it was a good convention.
We went to
a lot
the
of people there. Holy
Chris,
cats,
you got to tell them that we went to the Holy Land. We migrated back to the Holy Land to pay homage to the leader of our brokerage.
Oh.
And our brand.
That's what we do. Okay.
I'll tell you what. I'll post some pictures. Those of you that follow me can check it out. I'll do that probably tomorrow. What an absolutely great fest. 50th anniversary. So what was really cool this year was, every year Dave Leninger, the guy that started the whole thing, he comes out and he talks about state. This year he came out and said, "Hey, I'm old. I'm getting older." And he goes, I want to tell my story to you guys. There's over 9,000 people in this arena. He goes, I want to tell you from the beginning what I went through. And he took about 45 minutes and told the true RE/MAX story. I mean, it was unbelievable, Chris. You would have loved it. I mean, I never really had a connection with him until he talked. And now he was talking about how they would grow this thing so fast, they wouldn't know what to do with it. And then they'd run out of money, and they had these con men that came after them, and they had the actual mob came in as false investors. And it was unbelievable, some of the stories he was telling us. But it explains like why the RE/MAX brand, where it started, where it went, where it was when we joined, and where it is going now. And my God, what a fantastic American dream come true story.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. That's interesting when you talk about that growth so fast.
Yeah.
They do. They get growth. These companies, they kind of enter into the market, and then they just grow. And then it maybe gets complacent for a little while, and then they go again. And it's an interesting thing. We see it. I mean, obviously they've been hanging around a long time. 50 years is a long, long time to be able to kind of have something.
Here was just one of my pictures right here. This is kind of hard to tell with all the cameras and crap.
Yeah.
This was, hang on. This was the, it's hard to tell. There you go.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, about 9,000 people. It's like if you took Target Center, filled it up, and then, and I mean, Chris, how do you not get pumped up when they open up with Kool and the Gang comes out on stage and sings "Celebrate Good Time, Come On"? And I'm like, holy crap. So Kool and the Gang is one of my favorites, right? From way back. And then they literally ended that first day with Flow Rider, getting everybody jacked. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And then they, last night before we left, they played, or not last night, the night before was Maroon 5. And that was, for as much as I that Adam, as the lead singer, is an arrogant guy, puts on a good show. So,
Hey, I found this right here, so we can see the stadium.
yeah. That was before it was full. That's cool. Anyway, I learned a lot, picked up a lot of new techniques. I think it's kind of funny is that the largest Remax guy in the world, this he's out of California, out of basically South LA, and literally this guy walks on stage and says, hey, yeah, they invited me here because I'm the number one highest commission earning real estate agent in the world. And he goes, just to let you know, I got 3 pair of socks on and they're all wringing wet with sweat because I'm so nervous right now. And then he goes, holy F. And everybody started dying laughing because he goes, I'm not a professional speaker. I don't know what to say. They told me to come out here and talk about how to sell houses. And what do I say? And now everybody immediately connects with this. He's a human, right? And just right places, right time. And then he goes, at the very end, of course, everybody seems to have the book, right? Or there's something to sell. He goes, yeah, and then I put out this book. He goes, one of my best friends, Sylvester Stallone, signed it for me and did my, the beginning of the book for me. He's done like 140 celebrity sales and like 200 athletes. And he's in that pocket where his average sales like 27 million and just crazy.
That gets the commission high really fast.
Well, it does. And what they do down there is he said that he goes, we down here do some extreme discounting because of the price points. And I go, oh yeah. And I'm sitting there thinking like he's going to say like, some crazy number. And he goes, yeah, we do them for 5%. So he goes, some guys will do them as low as like 4.8. And I go, but you do the math on that. That's a $300,000-$400,000 commission check. But they're afraid not to do it, the sellers, because they like literally make movie productions when they sell these houses and do some amazing stuff but like he says, he goes, hey, I'm going to put you in front of he goes, my contact list is pretty crazy. You get to see my contact list. They get to see your house. And he goes, so if you want to put them in front of every professional athlete and, celebrity in the LA area, just let me know.
Yeah. That helps.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I don't know. I keep losing. So I look more like I'm dumb over here because I'm not maybe reacting. So just keep me.
Go on your phone. Go on
me
your phone.
Nick. Really?
Just go on your phone. Yeah. Andy, so that guy.
Now what do you start with the show? We
What do you think he pulls in a year? That number one seller.
About 12 million.
And that's the number one guy in Remax. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, well, for residential, and I think some of these guys with commercials sometimes will have bigger years than that, but you'd be surprised in real estate how, Remax agents, the average, and this is not a Remax endorsement. It is what it is because Remax agents pay rent. So think about the psychology between somebody that's a regular, you go to a broker and they give you everything and they don't charge you anything until you sell something. And then they keep a majority of your paycheck, right? Remax, we actually write out checks to have the opportunity to go earn straight commission. So right out of the chute, you have an organically different creature there. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, then you go out there and you start selling real estate. You can negotiate better. You can, all these things that happen with Remax agents, it makes them different. But what I like about it for me is that it's designed to be, you're the star. And then the brokers are the ones that are like your agents, right? That are helping you, supporting you, trying to make you a bigger star than you already are. And so anyway, but the average Remax guy or gal, as I would say, or whatever you call yourself, good for you, is going to have the 17.8 transactions. And most brokerages have 2.3. So, and there's also some very good ones. There's lots of great brokerages out there beyond Remax, but that's just so you get a lot of top producing people. And what's new to Remax, which a lot of people are shocked about, is how it's now become an open format where people share. So there's a round table where I'm sitting with other agents that are similar in size or even bigger than where I am with my team. And you're collaborating about what are you doing to grow your business? How are you taking care of your agents? How do you, get that, 4 seasons experience for your clients, right? Or the Ritz-Carlton, as they always say. And what are you doing? And so I always come back from that thing so jacked up, but Now, this is my busy time of year, so then I don't have time to necessarily jump on anything until June, July. But oh man, you guys, you know how I like to take notes. I literally, I'm not kidding you. I have a whole book of. I meticulously take notes because I'm afraid I'm going to forget those nuggets that they give you, and I'm like, so I'm note guy. Just anyway, Chris laughs at me, but it's okay.
Hey, last week we were all hyped about the professional and your trophy, Andy. So I think we got to give the man below there his credit too. So I see this. He got number 72.
That guy right there is pretty impressive.
Too.
That's
now that's individual. So they do a lot of different things. So Andy and we're not compared. Andy has a team, and then I'm like an individual. So they put us in different categories. But yeah, That one got 72 in the US.
But you know what's
interesting? That kind of just seems weird.
You know what though? The fact is that I've sat there as an observer of your success for years, and you're always very humble about it. You're consistently a top producing agent in the high end luxury market, and people come to you. Everybody asks, hey, my buddy Chris. Everybody freaking loves you. So I'm not trying to do an ad for you, but you are even though you don't show up in anything, you're one of the more respected guys in the Twin Cities. I'm serious.
I told you, man. I show up. I just don't take very good notes.
I'll make good copies so you can throw them away.
Yeah, I think it's, I think that's the whole real estate thing. It's like, you got to do what you do. Everyone thinks you need to, go to like what you do. That's who you are. You're like that. I mean, and you come up with those numbers and stuff. And that's not my angle. And so I think it's you do what you do and do it right, and hopefully it turns out pretty good. So
yeah, I mean, but it is crazy though when you sit down with some of these other teams where my team will sell hundreds of houses. Some of these guys I was sitting with sell thousands of houses, and it's like, God, but the one guy I was sitting with, it's called having a team, right? So it's like a mini brokerage within a brokerage for those of you that don't. So it's like you have your broker, then you have a team, and then underneath the team leader, they have a bunch of people that work together collaboratively. And this guy had, Chris, I'm not kidding you, $750,000 a year in staff and overhead. And I'm like, oh my God. Think about how many houses you have to sell just to crack that nut. I mean, my God. I'm like, no thanks.
But it is. But it's like it's your own brokerage. It's like your own real estate company, that they're doing it. And again, that's another way of doing it. I mean, I used to have a team, used to do the team thing, and that wasn't my thing. I wasn't good at telling somebody the same thing 10 times over, and they keep not doing it right. And so I just real small and got.
The funny part is though, Chris, I disagree with you. I think you're great at it, and I think that's the part about you is that I think you are, by not being a leader, you're being a leader. You know what I mean? It's like that you're the cowboy, the rogue cowboy, but people respect that and want to ask you questions like how you're doing it, and that is anyway. You could coach, I think, better than you could probably want to. But
I'm good with our boy Cody in Arizona. That guy, he just swallows everything up. It's funny, and then he does it. It's working for him, so it's good.
Well, I walked by that buffet at Caesars. Remember where he told us to go? And I go, God, I remember when we sat down with that guy in there, and he ate like 7 pounds of crab legs. And I'm like, here's a a D1 college playing a football guy. And Chris and I are sitting there just talking with this guy, and I'm like, this is really actually refreshing because it wasn't about business. It was about life and about, he's talking about like Nick playing football with Nick and growing up and where he's from and what he wants to do with his life. And just, kind of an interesting, like small story. Right. And then now he's taking that into this big, beautiful career now, and he's launching it. And I don't know. I admire the guy.
Yeah. All right. What do we got here? It seems like every realtor always has the same response. Now is the time to buy. We are on the fence of finally buying our first home this year, most likely a new build. With everything going on in the last year and this year, is it okay? We're on the fence of finally buying this year. Okay, so are they saying, is this the time to buy, Mr. Andy?
So let me give you the general consensus. So I was sitting around these round tables of, and I mean this not to be braggy, but sitting around a table of multimillionaires, of these team leaders that are just, successful. And I'm like, and one of the questions was, what are you guys currently investing into for your investments, for your family and your future? Everybody, not just one, everybody at that table, they were from across the US, across Canada, were saying we're buying real estate. We're buying and we're holding. So the strategy has gone more long-term. And this is from the people that are in the industry, that are the producers. They're buying and they're holding. So it's not a buy and a flip. It's not buying or whatever, even though that can be done too. But if you can buy and hold, you can always, finance the, the refi, the rate if you need to in the future, or pay it down fast. That one of my customers gave me a great analogy a long time ago. He says, I don't really care what the interest rate is because I'm only going to have it for about 10 years anyway. And I'm going to be paying it down, and I'm paying extra, and I'm going to have it paid off. So to me, if the rate's at, 4.5 or 5, it doesn't really matter because it's going to be short term.
So you think now is the time to buy?
I think if you are able to put a decent percentage down, so you have equity, I think that if you can swallow the current payments the way they are, and it doesn't exceed 25% of your gross income, then I would say yes. That is the price range I'd buy in.
I think the question I would ask them is it right for your situation right now to buy? Then it's the right time to buy. If you ever think you're going to time the market absolutely perfect, right, and buy the house at the lowest price with the best interest rate and the biggest return, it's very, very lucky if you ever hit that. So,
well, like across the bottom, Chris, it's asking us, is there ever a time that we should not buy? And I think that's where, Nick, and as you guys are younger people getting into the marketing or into the housing market potentially, right? And it's a personal individual thing, because we knew people that were your age back in the 80s. Granted, the houses were probably 45, 50,000, but they were buying houses with 18% interest rates. But the math worked, right? They were making enough money to afford the payment because eventually, I don't know, eventually houses will probably be $50 million. And we're all making, $30 million a year. Who the hell knows? You look back at when people were making $8,000 a year and cars were $1,500, and look at the ratios now. It's extrapolated up to what, 100, 200 times that in some cases.
Yeah, I think, if you're asking, is the time to buy now? I think there's two parts to that question. Is it the time to buy now investment properties, or is it the time now to be able to buy your first home? And I think getting your first home at any time is a smart way in which to do it. Just don't get over your skis too far. And, and also you can look at a home. It's a home. It's something you can take care of. It's something that's yours. It's something you
tangible.
Yeah, exactly. And at some point it's definitely going to go up, but I don't know. I think everyone really looks at a home as their only investment vehicle, and you can do less than that. So,
well, and I see these young couples that'll come in and they've got the little 3-year-old and the 5-year-old and the 8-year-old, and they're like, well, I don't know if the timing's right for us to buy a house with a sport cart. And I'm like, if you can afford it, you're going to provide those kids with an experience, and you're going to be the house to go to, right? You're going to be the house where all the sleepovers happen at. When the basketball carts are full and the kids want to shoot baskets, they're going to be at your house. I go, there's a lot of things that gives you beyond just, shelter. It provides a lifestyle. Like Chris and I have talked about this for years. Why do you buy a house on the lake? It's way more expensive than a house across the street. You can live across the street, but you don't have the lifestyle of being on the water. Huge difference. And so when you look at like, hey, we want to have a big family. We want everybody on the same level. I want to have a loft up here for my kids. And you can provide that for your family at that time. I don't know how to say no to that, other than if you can't afford it. If you can't afford it, then it's wrong.
Yeah. I'm with you, buddy.
Beautiful. All right, let's get into some social media reacts. It's going to be brought to you by Chris Rooney Home Experts.
Okay.
I was just 1 year old when my family started in real estate, where both my parents were agents. They also dabbled in investing in real estate, rentals, flips, and construction. After college, I went right into getting my license in July of 1990. As a 23-year-old agent in an industry that looks nothing like today, I had to know more for my clients to choose me. There wasn't Zillow or social media to tell them how good I was. I had to win them over with knowledge. With knowledge comes confidence, and with confidence comes results.
Well, he's got the confidence part down.
Yo, what up, fam? All right, yeah, you want to show me around? That's what's up. Straight up, this house is valid. Literally dead. Literally dead. Literally dead. Whoever picked this paint color understood the assignment. Sick. Hang on. Oh, you're a Swiftie? All right, so straight up, the market is low-key trash right now. I check the vibe on the MLS every day. Houses out there are mid, no cap. Most buyers are simps for a deal right now. I don't vibe with that, neither should you. No, I will slay as your realtor. Make this house the main character. And that's what's up. So bet?
Was that Cody?
Exactly. Oh my God, I was thinking the same thing. Cody, he's got all these little slang terms. I'm like, oh, what? What is that? I mean, it's like bet, and
you got
dad.
me back here making notes going, what did he? Okay. Urban Dictionary that later,
Yeah, that's good. That's interesting. I don't know. It works, I guess. Again,
I think that if they're connecting with a buyer and the buyer, this is what's always weird. You're starting to get old when you can't connect with that person, but that person can connect with other people. And that's where I've learned you just, slow your roll, relax a little bit.
Ultimately, if you don't have a shtick, what you should do is a really weird thing. Just know what you're doing. And then that kind of overcomes a lot of that stuff, because you can connect with someone if they know that you know what the heck you're talking about and get them in the best position to succeed. So,
Nick, can you connect with that salesperson?
Could I connect with them? No, I'm more proper cultured. I don't like speaking like that.
Yeah. I mean, like from his age group, like you understood him at least, right?
Yeah, but I think that's even younger than me now. I think that's
like the 20-year-olds.
Yeah, Morgan's age type. Yep.
Morgan could understand it. She gives me some stuff. I mean, I get texts from her that I have to like translate. I'm like, all right, there's like 6 letters, so what are you doing today at 3:00? Oh, there it is. So
yeah,
pretty excited.
This is a $200,000 to $300,000 backyard here in Irvine, California. This is a modern style design, and it's packed into a small space. This is 30 feet by about 75 feet wide. This yard is full of custom features that include a custom barbecue with a 3D tile footprint in the back, has a custom water wall that pours into the spa, has a floating cantilever deck that holds a fire pit, and a built-in custom seating bench. This also includes a spool, a spa pool combination that is zero edge, where the water just trickles over the top. Luxury to its finest in this small space. Like, comment on this video if you want to see more like it.
Nice.
Very cool.
Nice feature. Grabbing a small space and turn it into something. I think that makes you overlook the size of the lot sometimes. But boy, I've seen some cool things in like the cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, that have created these little areas that, you try to create some privacy, because you are super close and everyone's right next to each other, on top of each other, and creating something like that in a mature yard is pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
How do I look with the sun on me, Andy?
That's the Lord speaking to you, Chris, saying,
yep.
Top 10 this year, buddy. Top 10 is what he's telling you.
I think it means I have to move to another spot so you don't see me spinning again. So that's what I'm going to do.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what, when I see a video like that and I see like a littler backyard and I think of having someone invest $200,000 to $300,000, the one thing I would just say, and I'm not trying to be Danny Downer here, but I want to make sure that you understand it's in ratio to the home. Now, I don't know, Chris, if you have a magic number that you guys use when you're looking at luxury homes, but let's say that that's a $2 million house, no problem. Invest the money. It's going to come back to you. People, plus with that small of a yard, like you said, you might be in the coolest neighborhood in the world, whatever that is, wherever that is. And that now makes it even cooler. And now when somebody's writing out a check for $2 million versus 2.2 and they love it and they fight over it, because you know what I mean? You know that.
Yeah, I think it has to match like another part of the lifestyle. It can't just be like, hey, if my home is 2 million, I can add this on, because some of it won't work at all. It's got to kind of flow with what the lot is, what the lifestyle is. And I mean, if that's sitting on a lake, or if it's sitting, on a lake, it would be really a good thing. And on a 26-acre ranch, it might not work. And so you might be just throwing money away. And sometimes I think in the luxury market, people think that, oh my gosh, I'm going to make a lot of money on it. And it's usually don't make a lot of money on luxury homes.
Right.
It's something that you want, you like, and you're going to use. And people that are in the luxury market understand that and like that better. And I think that, or they like the lifestyle and they're willing to pay for it. So it's, hey, if I want to have a pool in there, I'm going to enjoy the pool. I might not get the money out of it, but maybe if you had a pool onto a $800,000 acreage property, you put $100,000 into it, it might be $1 million acreage property now, because you've got another addition to the lifestyle.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that that's a good way to look at it is case by case. And, this is kind of interesting. So when people, as humans, right, we collect, right? We're gatherers, right? And so we have our first house, and then we want a bigger house. And then we want a house that maybe represents our lifestyle or our status or whatever. And then you get to that point of where you have that, you start thinking that, hey, I made 200 grand on my first house. I made 200 grand on my second house. And then you sell your multi-million-dollar property and you lose 600 grand. You're like, what the hell? And that is, Chris is right. I've watched it happen numerous times where people buy the house on the lake, on the perfect lot. They stick 600,000 into it. When they sell it, somebody else comes in and guts it again and redoes it the way they want it, because that buyer in that price range has that kind of budget. And so you just understand that, there's not always an ROI on some of those investments as well.
I think that's why when people kind of put out there that, hey, everything we put into a house is investment, we're going to make money on it. I just don't think that's necessarily true. And it used to be the way I always thought, no, don't do that, because you're not going to get your money back. A 3-season porch. That was me. That was my thing, is you're never going to get your money back. At least in the properties I was living in, I didn't think I'd get my money back.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's like, I finally got a 3-season porch, my 20th home. 20 homes, I finally got one, and I loved it. I love sitting on it. And and it's just like, well, this is worth it. Oh my gosh, I should have used it. So it's just kind of it's a thing. Just don't get caught up in just everything needs to be able to, make you money.
Well, in all fairness, now let's take a look back at like a couple of weeks ago. We were looking at some of those luxury homes, right? And we were saying, they were priced at like 1.2, and we're like, fixed up, this is a $2 million house. Well, that's a little different. I think if you've used that luxury features and you've rode that train all the way to the end of the tracks, and now it's time to renovate or remodel, then it's a little different. But then at that point, the people that were selling them as is, they know better. They don't want to stick another 600 into it to get 400 back. So,
I see there's a question there about, like, last week we were saying not to skimp out on luxury flips. And I 100% agree to not skimp out, but maybe you don't add that's not going to maybe get your value. So, like, to me, if you're doing a flip and you want to pick, if it accentuates that lifestyle, then yes, it's a great thing. But there's some that you don't have to, or you don't need that. So maybe you're doing a flip and it's already got a pool in it. You don't have to rip the pool out and then create this little area. That's it for a small lot. But you might, like, you know what, I'm going to put accordion doors in, and the sliders are going to all open to this pool. That might be an investment that's much more worth it. The awe and the kind of that initial, whoa, this is amazing, this house. So yeah, you don't skimp out. You don't skimp out, but you pick the right pieces to that flip or turn or investment.
Just tell the damn truth. Just tell the damn truth. I love that line. McGrath used it at Eric 2 years ago, and it's so true. I had a real estate agent say to me the other day, Tom, you've got to have two stories, one for the vendor and one for the buyer. No, you don't. No, you don't. I think if you tell the damn truth to both people, life works so much better. Example, this guy said to me, how can you tell the owner what their home is worth and still get the listing? I said, it's really simple. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I know that you'd like to get 2 million, and 2 million would be a great number to achieve. 2 million would be a number I'd love to be aligned with. And if it's out there, I'll be getting it. Comparables are showing 1.7 to 1.9. I'm letting you know my job is to go out and find someone who has the same view of value as what you do. Great news, Mr. Vendor. We don't have to get the price right today, but we do need to get the process. And I've got to let you know, it's the process and not the promise of a price that's going to get you top dollar. And you can say the damn thing to the buyer. To the buyer, you can say, listen, I want to let you know my owner is pretty ambitious. I've shown him comparables at 1.7 to 1.9, and I've got to let you know that my experience that if we worry about the process, fair market value ends up being the result. Just tell the damn truth.
Okay. I mean, obviously the premise of that is correct. I don't know if I agree with his process, but I think the premise of it is, I don't think liars or realtors set out to lie. I think sometimes realtors just don't give you the whole story. And it is true what he said that, how you get a listing and not get a listing. And I think that's why you really have to kind of push the fact that you know what you're talking about, and they have to believe that. And knowing what you're talking about is actually having done this stuff. So it's really important to do what you do right. And I think eventually, everyone wants the most amount of money they possibly can, and everyone wants to push it. It's who do you think is the best person to put you in that position in which to be able to push it. And so I don't know. I think it just gets to a point that some listings you don't want, if they're totally unrealistic. But hey, if it's worth trying, you certainly can try. And I always talk about that. What we're trying to do is trying to get more of the market. If we're trying to get one certain buyer, well, it might just take a lot longer, but that one certain buyer might pay for it. Like I said, I've had listings before that one, I remembered different price point, but it was $99,900. This is years and years ago. And it was on the market exactly for 1 year. We ended up having 3 offers at the same time. It's just like, hey, someone wanted it, the other ones kind of fell in line, and we ended up getting over full price after a year on the market. So, yep. But we had to wait. You had to wait it out.
Yeah, no, and I agree with all that too. I think that, the whole, you got to be honest. Well, like, people are lying. I don't think they're lying as much as you got to remember the position you're putting a real estate agent in as a buyer. Think about this. Imagine if you went to your doctor and your doctor had to sell you on allowing them to do the procedure that they just diagnosed you with. Your timing, man. You had the finger on the trigger. But think about it. It's true. So you're hiring someone to come in and help you diagnose the situation you're in and to help you, but do you trust them? Do you whatever? And so I'm telling you, that's where the old referrals come into play, where somebody that they trust refers you to them. And then it helps with the trust factor. But then again, you still have to give people the facts. And I've always, said to people that I'll do everything in my power to get you the price that I can, but the market may not agree with us, so you're going to make my job harder. I have to charge you more commission. Or do you want to price it correctly? And then we don't have to spend quite as much trying to get that extra 30 grand that we maybe won't get anyway. And I'll be fair with you. You be fair with me. And let's get out there and get the house sold. And let's make the money up on the buy side wherever we buy. But I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think he's really playing on the weaknesses that people think real estate agents lie. And I don't think real estate agents lie as much as they just don't tell you what really is going on, because if they did, you wouldn't hire them. And You think about that. They're on a job interview. That real estate agent's on a job interview for you to hire them. So treat them like you're interviewing. Ask the same questions to every agent you interview, right? And what do I get? And the best way I always say it is this. So let's say that procedure is worth, in our opinion, let's say it's 5 or 6%. You tell them, hey, every agent, what will you give me for 5%? Or what will you give me for 6%? What do I get as a consumer for what you are offering for this price? And they may say, well, I don't really know. I just give you my expertise. Somebody else might come in and offer you a 50-point marketing plan and show you how they expose the house to more people, that bring in more buyers, that creates more demand, that gets you a higher price, even above market price. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Yep. I'm with you. I'm with you, Andrew. It is what you pay for it. I think his little stick on there of lying is maybe a little like it's a salesperson, and salespeople do move the truth a little, but I don't think they're intentionally lying that they're not good or they can't do anything, or it's like you don't go in and tell people that I can sell houses and I know this area, and I sell more than anyone in this area. That's a fib. That's a salesperson.
How many people have gone home after they've been at the store, and they're like, boy, the salesperson's like, boy, excuse me, miss, I helping you find some stuff, but those jeans accentuate you so well. Oh my God, they just grab everybody's attention in the room. Oh my God, you have to buy these. And then you're like, they look so good and they feel so good, I might even buy 2 pair. Now also you got 2 pair of jeans that cost you $200 of whatever they are. You go home and your husband's like, those are weird. What the heck? And you know what I mean? And it's like anyway, we'll move on.
3 negotiation tactics that have made me a very rich woman. Number 1, don't sell what's already sold. Once you've already come to an agreement, know when to stop selling, and most importantly, know when to shut up. Sometimes your big mouth can ruin a deal that you already thought you had. Number 2, success is defined not by your ability to say yes, but by your ability to say no. Remember, true power is about being able to walk away from a deal. They can keep their house, and I can keep my money. And number 3, don't be an asshole. You could have all the money in the world, but if you're an asshole, chances are you're not closing that deal. Does that make sense? For more real estate facts and tips, follow me on TikTok and Instagram.
Chris, do you think being an asshole means you start off a video by saying you're rich and holding up a Gucci book? Because that's what she did.
Is that what you considered what that is? Or is that confidence?
I struggle with that.
Yeah, I think her first 2 pieces though were very, very good. I think you see people, it's like it's done. Don't being quiet and listening is a very important thing. It really is for these people.
Yeah, I get it. And I think that the part of it is for me, like, you look at it and you're wearing a 4-carat diamond ring, and and I'm not, you wear those things to show off. You don't wear diamonds because it keep you alive and it helps your heartbeat. You wear it because you want people to think you have money, and you want to carry that like overconfidence or your insecurities or whatever it is that makes you drive that Ferrari. And I'm like, I go, okay, cool. Good for you. If that's what's important to you, having the image of what other people think of you. And I struggle with that. I would have rather listened to a guy sitting in a t-shirt in a van at an Albertsons parking lot and that knows how to sell stuff and knows how to talk to people and knows how to take care of people. Because to me, you are rich. She's not.
I think it's back to your accentuating genes story, Andy. I mean, people, it's perception. There's a lot of that is perception, especially as the higher the values are, that people want you that you understand those people too that are buying, that the crowd that you're buying understands that. Because I think a lot of times people don't understand who the level of buyer that they're dealing with, and it's not all about, hey, whatever's the cheapest, it's what's the best value. And I think, and maybe she's trying to portray that, But I think if I look past her rings and her Gucci's, whatever it is, it's kind of like what she said. There's a lot of truth to that. So, in my opinion.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So I was doing some research on this lady and some other influencers in the real estate space. One guy that I always get memes from has probably the stupidest page ever, and he's getting like 50 different referrals like a week off it, and he just sends them out to people across the country. And I guarantee you, this lady is doing the same thing. She makes these TikToks and hitting the camera and acting the way she does, and tons of people in her DM saying, "Hey, I'm in this area. I need my house sold," and she refers it out.
Cool. That makes sense. That's actually that's interesting. That's really an interesting way of playing with this stuff.
Yeah.
Is, you get to be this person, and it's like, hey, create this group all around the United States that you can get people to be able to go and, work with these like-minded people that are following you on social media. I mean, that's kind of interesting. Hey, Nick, get on it.
Yeah, find people that want to deal with old dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. Who wouldn't want to work with us?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I don't. You guys, you got to understand. I throw the opinions out there because you asked me to. Normally, in a normal day, somebody like that would breeze by me and I wouldn't even pay attention to her. So, you know what I mean?
Hey, Chris, do you want to do Andy's commercial?
Let me think about Andy for a while.
The hesitation doesn't make anybody nervous. It builds the suspense.
No, I think we could do it together. I think that Andy, what kind of seller are we looking for? What is the main type of hot commodity that's happening in the Champlain Blaine area right now? Brooklyn Park Center.
Commodity? Just being available to sell something, but
what's the top listing that you need right now? What do we need to go get? What price point?
Right now, I see a lot of buyers with children. I'm seeing a lot of empty nesters. Those are the two. First-time home buyers are really struggling, but I'm seeing a ton of people. They want the 4-bedroom, 3-bath. They want the 2 stories. They want the square footage. They want the home office. Does it have a sport court? Great. Does it have a theater? Great. I mean, but it doesn't have to. I think that that's the biggest need that I'm seeing out there right now for the marketplace. And then I'm also seeing the people that are selling that house, and they're the knees are getting sore and they're sick of the stairs, and they are like, hey, I want to go find the retirement house or the 1-level easy living house. I've sold quite a few of those recently too. So there's that is a need that I'm seeing right now for sure. But the other
price point. What's the price point?
I would say anywhere from probably the $450 to probably $800 is what I'm seeing.
So
but I mean,
big range.
Yeah, I've got a couple. I got one coming right now that's going to be close to 7 in Champlain on the park, and it's it'll sell fast. But I mean, the key thing is getting the exposure for that house where there may be only 3 buyers in the city here. It's marketing that property properly that pulls in other people that may be like sliding through Instagram, and all of a sudden they go, oh, that's cool. Never thought about that. Wow, how cool to be to live on the park, and creating buyers that weren't buyers to come over that may pay more. That's the key right now is getting creative marketing. We also like to use a lot of AI. So what that does is this, it goes out there. Artificial intelligence will pull us and tell us who's actually looking, who's actually not looking within a city. So if you get a hot city where you're like, hey, we live in a really cool school district, for an example, that school district, then we can identify potential buyers based on what they're clicking on, what they're not clicking on. So the technology behind what we do right now is pretty cool. So you can actually pinpoint and specifically market to people. Anyway, I sound like I'm giving a sales pitch. I'm not trying to give a sales pitch, but that's something that you can find buyers in the marketplace that will pay more, and that's where house prices are not going down, ladies and gentlemen. There's just not enough inventory out there. So we're seeing houses actually now under the 500 are sliding back into multiple offers when they list.
Yeah. Well, Andy, you can say this because it was a commercial.
Oh, well, then buy from me, sell with me.
Yeah. That's awesome. When the closer asked the buyer if they have made any large purchases since applying for their loan, he said no, except for my new truck yesterday. That's a problem. Just so you guys know, once you start in the loan process, don't buy a thing unless you talk to your lender to make sure that it's okay.
Yeah,
just saying.
Be moved in first, then go truck shopping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, doesn't stop. Once had a buyer to seller squabbling over $300, something insignificant that came up during the final walkthrough. This was about 10 years ago when both agents, the buyer and the seller, both their attorneys, were all sitting there with the title closer. Finally, one of the attorneys stood up, whipped out his wallet, and threw 3 crisp $100 bills on the table. The buyer proceeded to pick up the money, and we closed. I'll tell you what, guys, it's not money. It's called principles. And that's what happens. And it gets to a point that, it's a stupid little, dumb little thing. And whoever thinks they have the leverage, not give it up. I mean, and that's interesting with an attorney, that would take that money out and be able to throw it out there and get the deal done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I've had deals blow up over $300.
Yeah. It's just so dumb. It's so to get to that point. And I think that's a lot of what she said before. Shut up. Stop selling. Stop doing it. And what you don't really want, you just don't really want to get these buyers together. If you know you have a volatile type client, don't get them together. Keep them apart. It's a transaction. It's a house we're buying. It's not friends we're trying to make.
Did I ever tell you about one of the first times I ever helped a buyer buy a house? And we were in Robbinsdale by the old Terrace Theater. You guys remember the Terrace Theater?
No.
Back in the day? Okay.
No.
Well, anyway, so this house was like right across the street from the Terrace Theater. Had this young guy. At this time I was working with a lot of people over at Toyota, and they were coming in, young buyers, and they were, really good pay, and it was wonderful. So now they're all buying their second homes with me. But the first rounds were first-time buyers. And I remember this young kid named Dallas. We were out there looking at this house, and we wrote an offer, and he was so nervous, the poor guy. He was like literally shaking. And we wrote the offer, and I was pretty wet behind the ears still. And I asked my broker, everything was right. We wrote it, we signed it, and we go out there to do the walkthrough. And we show up at this house, Chris, and I'm not joking with you. We pull up into the alley, we park, and there's 2 kids out there with a sledgehammer, and they're jumping. The one kid's on top of the refrigerator. The other kid's hitting the side of the refrigerator and trying to knock the other kid off the refrigerator. And I'm like, hey, fellas, how's it going? This is, 20-some-year-old Andy going, hey, how you doing? Good to see you kids. And they're like, oh, yeah, this is the best. And we go inside, we look at the whole house, and I go, oh, that's weird. The refrigerator's missing. And we go, we come outside, and I look, and I go, what the hell? Maybe the refrigerator went bad, and they were just getting rid of it quick. It's cheaper to recycle it yourself than it is to, they were breaking it into pieces so they could put it into a dumpster. And I call the agent, and the agent says, well, they thought you didn't want it because it wasn't written in the purchase agreement. And I go, I put all appliances as seen on. And they go, yeah, but that one wasn't plugged in. And so this poor kid, this Dallas, literally was so upset. He was like almost in tears. And I says, here's the good news, buddy. We're going to go shopping right across the street at the old Montgomery Wards, which was right there. And I said, let's go get you a brand new fridge, buddy. Oh my God. I was so embarrassed. So that was one of my first, but you know what? That kid, I think, referred me to 50 people. I mean, he was like, my realtor bought me a refrigerator and we had so much fun. And, I went to his open house when he did an open house, and it was cool. Anyway, so stuff does happen for a couple hundred, and that was a couple $100 item back then.
Unmute. You're muted.
Well, there you go, Chris. It was nice talking with you, buddy.
I got another one. This one is long, but it's very sad. So here.
Oh. All right, Chris is on mute, so I'll read it. I have a fun one. A completely uneventful contract made it all the way to the closing table. Everybody signed their documents, In my state, you sit at the table and wait till everything is finalized, the loan is funded, deed recorded, and then everybody walks away with their keys and checks. The buyer, seller, their agents, and the loan officer are sitting at the table chit-chatting when the buyer mentions that they're going to go out immediately and start enjoying their retirement. In the Bew mentions, I don't know what that means, that there's going to go out immediately and start enjoying their retirement. Oh, and the beautiful lake house they just bought. He had retired the day before from his job that qualified him for the loan. No one walked away with keys or checks that day.
There you go. That's exactly why. Well, there's another reason to be quiet again. I mean, especially if you're being deceptive like that, because there's no way in which to be able to, at least the mortgage company doesn't think how you're going to pay the loan back.
So the old loose lips sink ships.
There you go.
And this is why in a lot of states they don't have buyers and sellers get in the same room for that exact reason.
Yeah.
It's the chit chat that kills us.
Andy, wasn't there one that you had? There was a couch in the lower level, but there's no way to get it out. Yeah. That happened at closing.
They were chit-chatting, and they bought this leather couch, and the guy at closing, the seller, makes the comment. He says, well, we couldn't even get the couch out of the basement anyway, so we were probably just going to give it to you. And the buyer said,
they paid for it.
Right, yeah, and the buyer said something, and he goes, well, for $300, what do you expect? It's a pleather couch. The guy stands up and goes, are you effing kidding me? This is a pleather couch. It's not even a real couch for $300? Well, then go get the god blankety blank thing out of there, and we're not closing until it's done. Andy Krasky, as he gets up from the little puddle of pee-pee in the I go, well, I said, good thing I got a Sawzall out in my truck. I said, why don't we head over there after closing? We'll cut it out of there. We'll haul it away for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
People say the dumbest things. I'm like, just don't talk.
Although, Andy, I would rather have that stuff come up beforehand than after the fact, because as from a seller or representing a seller, at least you have the leverage of, you know what, I'm not going to sell it to you. Once they buy it, it's done. Then you're at the mercy of someone else making that decision for you, if you screwed up. But the thing is you can't be deceptive. You just can't.
No, I don't know if it was being deceptive as much as it was just like, why are you saying things like, that you don't need to say at the time? Because it was I had one last year where there was a lot of, let's just say, knickknacks, okay, in the house. And they were very cool knickknacks that probably made the house feel cooler than it really was, okay? So there was a big check being exchanged for the knickknacks to stay. And I'm telling you, I always tell people, I say, well, if I'm going to sell knickknacks, I said, what's my cut? And they go, what do you mean? Because I go, knickknacks can literally blow up a sale. And I said, if it gets blown up, I said, why would I let you take that risk for me? And they look at you kind of funny. And I go, if you guys want to cut a deal outside of closing, outside of me, I just don't even want to hear about it. You know what I mean? And people go, well, but and it's like, but nothing. I mean, when you're exchanging $3,000-$4,000 or the quote furnished cabin, and then the people say, oh, well, that was Grandpa's chair. We're not going to leave Grandpa's chair. But I said, you sold it as a furnished cabin. And that was there when they saw it and they asked for it. Assuming everything would be stayed. Like you said, it's furnished. Well, we just took one chair. I go, oh my God, this is what happens. And these deals blow. So I'm going to say this to everybody on air. If it's important to you, get rid of it. Pull it out of the house. Because if it shows, it goes. So people see it, they're going to want it. Especially if you don't, you've got that favorite light fixture that was in the chandelier of the grandpa's business that means something to the family. Get it out before you sell your house. And then they can't ask for it if it's important to you. Otherwise, whatever you leave in that house, just don't be attached to it and be okay with it being sold.
All right. It's a very good point.
Sorry, I got a little excited there.
Yeah, but personal property is just a mess. It can be just a total mess. Mm-hmm. And it becomes the hardest part of the negotiation process. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I got a text from one of my teammates saying that my commercial, I should have mentioned that we're working with 65 buyers right now looking for houses in the Northwest Metro.
Is that all? Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about inventory.
We got 10 agents on the team and everybody's working with, quite a few people. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I got to get your thoughts on these listing photos.
Well, it looks like a forest.
Yeah. It's like a prison. Looks like a prison.
My gosh. That landscaping.
Oh my creepy. Oh my God.
What is that stuff?
Oh, collectibles, Chris. Collectibles.
You can't even see it.
I want them someday. I collect pumpkin heads and seashells. The sad thing is I'd probably keep some of the seashells. Oh boy. Whoops. So which room did the guy blow himself up in?
Yeah. That was just that house alone?
Oh.
Holy moly.
Seems like a lot of money for a lot.
I would love to see what it says about that house. Where is it? I can't see it. I meant
Miami.
You guys made me go on my car phone. So where is that house?
Miami.
Okay.
Miami.
Well, if it's on some water, those pictures are fine.
I don't know if it is though. I think Miami is just a hot market.
Yeah. Yeah, I would assume it's very hot, especially in the summer. Yeah. All right, what else do we go?
Can you read?
All right, I got it. I recently closed on my home, but the weeks leading up to it were a nightmare. The buyer's agent gave the buyers a key to my home without my permission. Oh boy. And they started doing renovations. All right. I had to tell them to leave immediately and took the lockbox off the door to prevent them from coming back. On the day of closing, the buyers changed their down payment to $0. I have filed a complaint with the Realtor Association for my state, but is there anything else that I can do? If you closed on the property, it's done. You can obviously probably file some ethics complaints for sure. I mean, if a realtor ever gives somebody a key without it being their house or having permission, I mean, that's close to losing your license. Depends how much that owner. You can't do that.
Right. I mean, I don't know if you could go after the broker and ask them for a percentage of the commission back to penalize the agent, because what ends up happening is they go for these ethics complaints. You sit in front of a board of realtors and they all say, yep, it's horrible. And then they fine them. But the people that are running the complaint don't get the money. A lot of times it goes right to the board of realtors, which is silly. But
yeah, that's not a good thing. For us little realtors that are out there, never give a key to a client. I mean, and that happens a lot, that all of a sudden it's closing day, next morning, you do your walkthrough at 5:00 the night before, and you say, you know what? Well, I'm just going to give you the key now. Hang on to it. You just can't go in there before closing. Well, in the morning, they're like, well, geez, our car's full. Let's just go drop a load off at the house. Mm-hmm. And so they go drop a load off at the house, and all of a sudden the seller comes back to say goodbye to it one last time, and they see all those things in there. All hell breaks loose, people. Can't do it.
Or put it in a new construction world, because I deal with this about 4 times a month, where, we just put some stuff in the garage and the city's going to get the CO, and they're like, well, you're occupying the property. We're not going to issue the CO. Yeah. And the people are like, what? We're not living there. They go, you have a personal property there. Yeah. Depends on the city. But I mean, I can't believe how many people are gutsy enough to move their stuff into a house. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we're
buying it. What's the big deal? We're closing in an hour.
That I get, but
yeah, it's bad. Mm-hmm. Biggest lessons from the Remax event. They have good oxygen at every casino to be able to get yourself right back into the swing of things.
A lot of those people are functioning with hangovers. They don't even know it, and they're functioning.
Yep, exactly. That's my lesson. Andy, what'd you learn?
I really I learned that the marketplace that we're heading into, actually, we will see less real estate agents. I think they were talking about the amount of agents and mortgage brokers that are going to be going away from the business, which is always okay because those that'll stick around. And they really talked about it becoming what they call professionals real estate business, where the sales are going to be happening, are going to be run by the professionals that act like professionals, treat their businesses like a professional business, and conduct themselves that way. And that it's going to get back to those that survive through the next turn, because it will be slower, right? So it's like they're not saying houses are going down in value. Don't scare the consumer. We're saying there's just going to be less houses to sell. Kind of like the car dealerships dealt with that last year, where we only get 6 cars a month. Do you really need 10 salespeople to sell 6 cars? Probably not. So that's, I think, the analogy that we got. Housing is looking very fine. What they also said was, with this fear that inflation is continuing, they're going to say houses are going to continue going up in value. They kind of follow inflation. So really interesting conundrum, right? Talked about interest rates possibly going up again to try to cool that down. And so there's a lot of interesting things happening right now, dynamics-wise, that I think it's still a great time to sell. And I think that if I was buying, I'd hurry up and buy before the rates go up towards the middle to end of the year. But that's just me just trying to beat rates, All it does is, if rates go up, it just pushes your purchase point down. Because if you make a certain amount of money and you want to dedicate $2,000 a month to your house payment, and the rates go up, all it does is means you just have to buy a lower priced house. But that can be tricky when there's no houses for sale. And that's where we get into multiple offers, because I think you see a lot of moms and dads saying, hey, I'm sick of my kid not getting the house. Let's throw another $30,000 at this thing. Gift the kid the money or whatever. And anyway, that's what I learned.
Beautiful. Hi, guys. Another great episode. Give us a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, write us a review on iTunes, Spotify. We have a link tree now. All of our website links are there, everything to stream. And we'll see you next week.
Woo!
Thanks for joining us this week on the Real Estate Radio Hour. Don't forget to visit our website, realestateradiohour.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or your preferred podcast listening app. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or sharing us with a friend. Until next time, stay awesome, Twin Cities.